Hello, and welcome back to our podcast. You're back tuned in with me, Dr. Allison Chiwara. I am the founder and CEO of Human Focus Limited, a company that is dedicated to creating happier, healthier workplaces and workforces, as well as amazing communities, whatever those communities may be. Today, I want us to talk about women in business. It's the month of March, of course, and we're going to talk about advocacy, allyship, and the role that we play individually. I hope that this podcast is a place where we have really bold, thought-provoking conversations, where we share wisdom from around the world, perhaps, and also have a little laughter along the way. I know that it's not always the case because I always like to be super to the point. However, today I want to talk about a rather powerful discussion. So working with women in business, with the challenges themselves, the advocacy that's involved, and why male allies actually matter. And this is so important that we address these things. So initially, I wanted to just look at who are we? What role are you playing? Whether you're a businesswoman, perhaps a businessman, or an aspiring career or professional, or simply someone who's just really involved within the professional world. Well, I guess the time to act is now. With the UN Women CSW 69 approaching, I think that we ought to unpack a few things. So let's take a trip, shall we? Pack light, of course, because we're going to go global with this one. I promise you. We'll explore different cultural perspectives, highlight perhaps some of the unsung heroes that we don't really talk about much, and ask the question, who is speaking for you in the rooms that matter? And equally important, who are you speaking for? You see? So you can't expect others to do the masters when you do the very least. Okay? So I want us to talk about why we do what we do within our advocacy. So before we actually go into it a little, I want to really just unpack the why. So why do we even do advocacy for women in business? Because data tells us that when women thrive, businesses flourish. So recently I was looking at a study by McKinsey Global Institute, which estimates that advancing gender equality in the workforce could actually add 12 trillion to global GDP. Yes, 12 trillion with a T. But actually, beyond the numbers, yes, there's something much, much deeper. Something much deeper. The legacy. Advocacy is just not a one-day job. It's about setting up generations of women to walk through the doors that we kick open now. One of my very dear friends, Dr. Tammy, once said, when we empower women, we empower economies. And here's the twist. Advocacy is not just about women advocating for women. Men do play a crucial role too. And I've seen a lot of this happening quite lately, which is quite pleasing to see. And I do know that many will argue there's still work to be done, absolutely, around this area. But talking of male allies, is this the missing piece? Why male allies remain perhaps key to bringing gender equality into the workplace? Let's be honest, gender equality is not just a woman's issue, is it? It's a business issue. It's an economic issue. It's a human rights issue, to say the least. And remember legendary speeches by the amazing Barack Obama when he said, you can judge a nation and how successful it will be based on how it treats its women. That is amazing, isn't it? You can judge a nation on how successful it is or it will be, based on how it treats its women. Now, think of this in the workplace. Who are the decision makers in most boardrooms? Who are the policymakers? Until we see equal representation, we really need allies who use their influence to advocate for inclusivity, for pay equity, and for leadership opportunities while they're sat at these tables, you see. And that is where you come in. Okay, so perhaps you are a businessman listening to this. What policies are you pushing into your company? And if you're a manager, who are you mentoring? And if you're a leader, are you ensuring women's voices are not just heard, but valued? What are you doing? So, are women's voices not just heard, but valued? Now, let's take a little journey across the world where we really, if we are going to be true advocates, we must practice cultural competence. I say this all the time. In fact, I've sounded like a parrot in the last few months around the subject of cultural competence. So in Rwanda, I hear women make up 61% of parliament. And the amazing thing is, the highest in the world. Imagine that. Well done, Rwanda. In Japan, women are still underrepresented in leadership roles, but companies are now realizing that diversity leads to higher profits. So they're working on that. But here in Scotland, where inclusivity is a growing focus, we are beginning to see shifts in leadership structures as businesses recognize that representation absolutely matters. And of course, in Zimbabwe, my own home country, where my own personal journey started, education in an all-girls school has truly shaped my vision for what was possible at Roosevelt Girls High, despite the limitations society placed on women. But I'm so thankful. So, what can we learn from all of these numbers? Is that change is happening, but it needs to happen everywhere, right? And that requires you and me, not just watching from the sidelines, from the terraces, as we say in Zimbabwe, but actively championing women in business. What are you doing? What change are you championing? And are you just watching from the terraces or actively partaking? So speaking of champions, let's talk about unsung heroes. Well, I want to celebrate Steph, the IT guru, one of the UK's very pioneer IT gurus, a woman before her time, a trailblazer who paved way for others, but sadly is barely spoken about. I also want to shine a light on my really amazing friends like Christina Scott, who always speaks for me, Lady K Bayele. These are women that speak for me in busy rooms. Diane Tucker, women that speak for me in busy rooms. Lavinia Osborne, Tammy Stevenson, women that speak for me. And so many more there's so many more, honestly, that are moving mountains in spaces where doors went open for them. They've had to kick the damn doors down. And let's not forget the young voices. So my own daughter, Alicia, it shows that in every networking event, she mentions what her mommy does. And that, my friends, is legacy in action. Thank you, Alicia. So who is speaking or saying or mentioning your name in busy rooms? And whose names are you championing? So my challenge to you is, what will you do to support women in business in this month? Will you mentor a young woman just starting out? Will you ensure that women in your organization perhaps have equal access to opportunities? Will you speak up when policies look, feel, and truly seem unfair? I want to leave you with these words from Mother Teresa, whose appreciation award I also recently received from India a few months ago. Thank you, Piyush. A moment that brought me to tears. Mother Teresa once says, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Do your small thing and do it with great love, because that's how we change the world. One drop at a time can fill a cup. Well, thank you for tuning in as always. And please, let's just keep the conversations going around advocacy for women in business. Who are you advocating for? Please tag me, share your stories, and let's make impact happen together, of course. So until next time, please stay bold, stay loud. Oh yes, very loud, and stay advocating. From me to you, from Human Focus Limited to your households. And of course, your incredible communities. It's goodbye for now. Until next week. Bye-bye.